I'm here with Eran Stern. This is Adobe Video World Day 4, and it's a bit of a sad day because today is the last day of Premiere Pro World, and from here on out it'll just be After Effects. So again, Eran Stern, would you introduce yourself and just your title, your role, what you do?
Yeah, I'm basically a motion graphic designer from Tel Aviv, and I think that my role is to fight ugliness in the world. Sums it up pretty nicely.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
So I don't want to pigeonhole you, but you're more of an After Effects guy. So you're happy that we're moving into After Effects world now?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the third time that we are doing the After Effects world. So basically, it started in After Effects world, and then we saw that it has a huge success. So we figured out, why not let's do the same thing with Premiere. Those guys from FMC called me on board and sat down with Rich, and we've created Premiere Pro World, and then figured out that it's just going to be a natural move to connect between the two. And there you go. Adobe Video World was born.
Right.
So this is like the historic.
It gets
It
gets a little confusing from you got multiple hashtags flying around, people referring to it as different things, but Adobe Video World is Premiere Pro World and After Effects World.
Yes.
Smashed together back to back. This morning's opening was titled "What's So Dynamic About Adobe's Video Apps?" And I'm a Premiere Pro person. I kind of know my way around After Effects, but let's face it, my entry into After Effects is dynamic link. One of the things that I think it was Todd, I forget Todd's last name, and he's the product manager of After Effects. One of the things he said that I liked was Adobe models the integration of its video apps after just trending things in the industry. Do you agree with that? How is Adobe trying to stay ahead of the industry and making all of its apps integrated?
Well, first, I'm not working for Adobe, so I don't need to be politically correct.
Yeah, you have to be clear.
Yeah, I have to be just clear. I think that Adobe is really taking it under very serious control, and they understand that the power of their ecosystem in terms of what they're offering to the audience is basically the tight integration between the products. So they have a couple of things which are almost godsend. I can't see myself using the other tools just because of the benefit that I got from the Adobe workflow. I think they are moving in the right direction. As always, there's room for improvement. For myself, I don't rely on the Adobe dynamic link so much in terms of full timelines. It's great when you need to just move one or maybe two segments, two clips between those software, and it will give you the back and forth. So it's a two-way street. But usually, if you have a picture lock, this is of course my tip. I would recommend to just copy and paste clips from the Adobe the Premiere timeline to After Effects, and this copy and paste trick, this little script that they have, is basically in all the software. So for example, if you're working in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, which I use on a daily basis, and you design something and you want to keep the same design, let's say in the Premiere Pro Titler, you can basically select the text from there, paste it inside Premiere Pro Titler. There you go. You don't need to reformat it, you don't need to rethink about it. You don't need to think about kerning, tracking, all those typographic stuff, which from me usually takes a lot of time. So yes, dynamic link is good. Yes, hopefully I'm answering the question.
But you're answering it and giving a lot of great tips as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the title thing. Yeah. That's great for users to know that they can copy and paste.
Yeah, it's time for with InDesign, with Illustrator. So the whole text engine, if you learn it in one software, one Adobe software, then you can actually use it for most of the hours.
It's a classic battle with editors to compare NLEs. But one of the things I love about Premiere Pro is to really make a true comparison between Premiere Pro and the other NLEs is it's Premiere Pro plus the Creative Cloud video suite. So you're really harnessing the power that Adobe integrates throughout all these apps. I think that's so cool.
Absolutely. This is like their forte. This is like why I use this.
So again, this is Eran Stern. We're talking at the Fairmont from Adobe Video World Day 4. Any questions from the audience yet? This is a great opportunity for Premiere Pro editors to ask dynamic link related questions.
Probably understand everything that I'm saying or nothing at all. I guess this is...
There's one thing I'll follow up on. I've actually recently kind of gone back and forth on Twitter with a couple of people about the use and place of dynamic links. Some people don't trust it. It's not like a stable workflow. You pointed out it's a great thing to hand off media to After Effects. It's great for doing like designing and then seeing how it looks in your edit. But at some point, you're recommending you kind of want to make a commitment and render and replace, or is this true? Is this
the thing with dynamic link in my book, I mean the way that I perceive it is this is a fantastic tool if you are a one-man band. Meaning if you are working on one machine and you are delivering stuff from one software to the other, keeping the same assets at the same place, everything is, I mean, you control it, then dynamic link is absolutely the way to go. If you're working with a team, if you are art directing a group of people and you need to divide the work, this is usually how I do my stuff. Like one person will be he will do the first quarter of the promo, and then I will hand the other task to, you know what I mean? Then the dynamic link workflow doesn't really make the cut for me, because it's actually a limitation instead of an advantage. So it depends. I mean, those are tools basically. You need to just pick up the one that suits the job. So I'm using both technologies, but at the end of the day, those are technologies.
Right. It's really a trick question to ask, like, what's the correct way to use dynamic link, because
once again,
it's versatile and it's got to fit into your workflow.
Yeah, it's a fantastic technology. The biggest advantage with dynamic link is you don't need to re-render media, right? It just moves the media from one place to another. Second biggest advantage is that it's dynamic, right? So if you are changing something, in, let's say inside Premiere Pro, and you move it to After Effects, it will automatically reflect. However, if you, let's say, move your whole timeline, and even if you are changing and cut it inside After Effects, and you split the clips and you duplicate it or do whatever, and it's all connected to this one dynamic link, and in some cases, client will make changes.
Right.
I hate it when it happens, but it will happen. Even one frame, if you are going to move even one frame, everything that you did inside After Effects is going to be messed up. Which, I don't know, I mean, for me it's a no-go. It drives me crazy. So I rather do the work once again. I'm not afraid to commit. Like if I'm moving stuff from Premiere Pro to After Effects, doesn't really matter via dynamic link or just copy and paste or even render. I'm finishing the work, I'm going to render, I'm going to hand it back to myself or to the other editor. Because when you're working with After Effects, you're not treating the whole story. I mean, of course, you're thinking about the whole story, but you're working shot by shot. So it's just a different way to approach things. Once again, hopefully I answer the question and not make it even more complicated.
No, totally. Any questions?
Yeah, can you go a little bit more into the copy and paste between applications?
Absolutely.
Yes.
These are like, I don't know, probably the less known or unknown thing that Adobe have it like from Premiere 6.5, not Premiere Pro. So the thing is that, let's say that you're working inside Premiere, you have more or less the assets that you want to take to After Effects. Basically, marquee around those clips in the timeline, select Edit Copy, go to After Effects, create a comp inside After Effects which has the same dimensions as the sequence inside Premiere. The length doesn't matter, the duration doesn't matter. select this comp, go to edit, paste, everything will translate. Everything. Time remapping, dissolves, effects, everything that After Effects can make is going to be over there. The only exception is the titles that we're creating using the Adobe Titler, which is like a, something which is like a closed application inside Premiere Pro. This is part of the Premiere Pro timeline. Those will not go through. So in any case, I'm not using the titler because I hate it. I'm usually going to use File, New, Adobe, Photoshop from Premiere in order to create my titles, and those will translate with everything. And you can even, when you are copying and pasting it from the Premiere Pro timeline to the After Effects timeline, you can select those Photoshop files, you can right-click on them, you can make sure that you are seeing them on the project panel, and then you can re-import them or replace them with the layered comp. So After Effects will get all the layers that you had in your Photoshop, design. And for me, this is like, this is the way I use it most of the time.
You just blew someone's mind.
Yeah, excellent. My goal is to make them cry. My mother said, at least you have to like at least once a week you have to have a good cry. So hopefully.
Do you know Jeff Greenberg?
Of course.
He likes to make people cry as well.
Both of us. We have the same agenda.
As someone who really has a good handle on After Effects, and I'm putting that very conservatively,
Thank you.
This is just a time for you to fantasize. Where do you see After Effects in 5 years?
This is a big question. Actually, we have a session in our grid.
We do.
That I asked one of the speakers to like really think about it. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. It's Ryan. So he actually went and interviewed a lot of post houses and gathered he did a lot of surveys and gathered a lot of opinions. So I'm really curious. I'm going to see what's the conclusion. But for me, I think the most important, I have enough tools in After Effects. So for me, quality and stability are priorities. Those are like the top. I hope that Adobe, and I think that they are going this way, will fix the preview once and for all. The most important thing, for example, real time, when we have real time, like in Premiere Pro, we can hit spacebar and it just plays. The meaning of real time for me is creativity. Because if I'm working with something and I can immediately see it in front of my eyes, this is the reason why I'm choosing, let's say, to use particular inside After Effects. This is a plugin from Trapcode for those of you who live inside a cave, for some time. Anyhow, I'm not trying to be cynical, this is just the way I am. The reason that I love particular so much is because it's almost real time. If we're going to touch maybe an advanced particle system in 3D packaging in Cinema 4D, you must wait for things to happen. And I usually refer myself as a microwave person. I need everything instant like that. I don't have a patience. I can't wait for one frame to render the whole day. So seeing it immediately is very important. So for me, if After Effects will become faster in the way it previews stuff and maybe accelerate it using the GPU, this is the most important thing for me. And I highly anticipate that, I have high hopes for this, that Adobe will actually,
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll point out, I don't think this is NDA or anything like that, but up on stage this morning we have like the Adobe After Effects product manager, as well as Al Mooney, who we spoke to earlier, as the Premiere Pro editing product manager. And the integration between the apps is a reflection of how well the Adobe engineers and people that work on the software talk to each other. And what you were saying about faster previews and utilizing the GPU to accelerate that, the After Effects guys acknowledge that this is something the Premiere Pro team has gotten really good at, and they're going to start taking from that team. I just think it's really cool.
For me, this is the most important thing. I hate to just go to After Effects, to Premiere to get, and there is a solution. After Effects is basically the way I look at it, both After Effects and Premiere are no longer just software, they are operating systems. right? So the ecosystem is so wide, and sometimes a plugin is actually a software within a software. So it has its downside, meaning that you have to learn new interface and stuff. But the good thing is that because it's basically you can write scripts for it, and of course we have a track just for scripts and expression. I have to plug this conference for those of you who didn't make it. Make sure to do it next year. We will be in Seattle. But anyhow, back to the present. There is a tool which is no-brainer in my book. It costs $21. It's from MrHorse.tv. It's for After Effects. It's called Previewer, and it will allow you to actually play footage in real time inside the After Effects interface. So check it out, guys. MrHorse.tv. The trailer for this thing is just amazing. It's hilarious.
This is Mr. Horse.
MrHorse.tv. TV, like television, TV.
I'll check it out myself.
Basically, this guy Adam from Bulgaria is offering two plugins. One is for free. It's called Animation Composer. I'm going to cover it in both sessions that I have tomorrow and on Sunday. This is something unbelievable. But the really sweet thing is this preview.
So you're going to be demoing that in your session?
Absolutely.
For those that are listening and are interested, I'll try and attend one of Eran's sessions. Maybe I can tweet an image of that out. That'd be cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, two questions. One, Eran, where are you from in Israel? And the other question is, what is the future of 3D modeling in After Effects? Or if you don't know, what do you predict?
Okay, so I'm from Ramat Gan, which is a place near Tel Aviv, which is in Israel, a small place in Asia. And about the 3D, I mean, I don't see After Effects, I don't think After Effects will have in the foreseeable future a 3D modeler inside. However, you already, I mean, working inside After Effects is not just After Effects, right? It's After Effects plus Mocha AE, which is an independent software as a plugin, and Cinema 4D Lite. Now, don't let the light be a downer for you.
Same with Mocha AE.
Yes, Cinema 4D Lite is actually much deeper software than all of After Effects, so it's really a 3D, complex, not complex, but very deep 3D tool. And you can actually use it today to build your own model and bring them live inside After Effects. And the integration that we have with After Effects between Cinema 4D and After Effects, the Cinema plugin, I'm not going to say things that I can't say, but it's going to be better, much better.
Cool. I guess just another question. I guess just in closing, is there anything you're working on? Are you going anywhere next? What's next for you?
Okay, so I'm actually working on training. So yeah.
Linda?
Lenda.com, yes. Okay. So I already have a dozen of courses over there. Look for more. I'm going to have at least 6 new more. I think 6. I can't really remember my contract now, but a handful of courses over there which are going to be blast. I'm really proud of them. And then of course the next big show for me is NAB, which also going to be a huge thing. So the post-production world, which is a conference inside NAB or during NAB time, also organized by FMC. I'm going to be one of their main presenters or speakers.
For those that don't know, FMC is the sponsor of Adobe Video World.
And and of course I'm teaching at the university, so I always, I get a lot of inspiration from my students there, so I envy them.
Do you have a Twitter handle?
At Stern Effects.
At Stern Effects. You can follow Eran on Twitter. This is Sean Schools, Premiere Bro. Tweet me while I'm still here. I'll be staying through After Effects World, so if you have any questions, tweet them to me at Premiere Bro. And it's a pleasure getting to talk to you, getting to know you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks. Bye.